Hi everyone. I just realized today that I hadn't finished chapter 19, and so I'm back to finish it. It's kind of dark and gray outside. I want to show you something that is one of Mrs. Peters' favorite toys. It is a little light thing that attaches to my books, and I use it at night when I'm in bed to read because it's dark. But anyway, it's kind of dark outside and kind of gray, so I have it on. All right, so where we left off, Poppy had just bumped a beaver. She stood still. Rye, looking on, was horrified. For a long moment, they dared not move. Finally, the beaver rolled away, then settled down, never having awakened. Poppy crept over to the far wall. The way was muddy. By pressing up against the wall, she was able to skirt a large sleeping beaver and come around to the edge of the water gate. Once there, she gazed into the murky water, apprehensively, then looked around to see if there was any way to get up to the vine. It was impossible. She had no choice. Reluctantly, she turned back to the water. The prospect of swimming caused her so much dread she felt compelled to give herself a reassuring hug. Taking a deep breath, she jumped, hitting the water with a splash. Across the lodge, Mr. Candid sat up and looked around. He had heard something. Taking a few sniffs, he detected a vague and unusual smell. He peered about but saw nothing except bulky beavers sleeping. All seemed perfectly normal. And yet, what was it that he had heard? He sniffed again. That time he detected the faint smell of mouse. Could the mouse have escaped? Better safe than sorry. Mr. Candid allowed and got up. Approaching Rye's cage, he peered through the gloom. At first, he couldn't see Rye, but by listening intently, he heard the sound of chewing. He crept closer to the cage. Rye was at the back of the cage, gnawing on a bar. Mr. Candid broke into a toothy smile. "Well, bless my teeth and smooth my tail," he snorted. "You're trying to be a beaver." Rye, taken by surprise, looked up. "Don't think you should try chewing your way out, pal," Mr. Candid said. "We need you to stay." Glowering, Rye said nothing. "Just back away from those bars, pal. You don't want to cross over the line and force my paw. If I do something bad, it'll be your own fault." Rye stepped away. "Way to go, pal. Now look," Mr. Candid went on to say, "I think I'll catch my Z's here. For the next few days, anyway. Don't want to lock the barn door after the horses are gone." Mr. Candid was about to settle himself when he recalled the noise that had woken him. If this mouse was here, what was that sound? Now that he thought about it, could it have been a splash? He sat up and counted his beavers. All present, all accounted for. He did an inspection around the cage area. In the mud were Poppy's prints. "You've had a visitor," the beaver suddenly exclaimed, "haven't you?" "Leave me alone," Rye cried. "Never mind," said Mr. Candid. "One picture is worth 1,000 words. One of your pals was here." The beaver scrutinized the lodge intently. By a firefly flash, he caught sight of the vine dangling from the lodge roof. Mr. Candid grunted. "The vent hole." He lumbered across the lodge floor and ripped the vine down. "Better plaster some mud over that hole," he thought. "I can always make some other holes and hide them. Don't want any mice in the ointment." And that is the end of chapter 19. I do promise that I will read chapter 20 later today. So, see you later.